Hello, and welcome back to A Closer Walk. I'm Irving Kimball, and I'm your facilitator for Unit 8, Day 1, page 156 in our member guide, and page 208 in our youth edition. Today we're going to be discussing adjustments are necessary. Our memory verse is Luke 14:33. In one of our realities, we found out that we cannot stay where you are and go with God at the same time. Do you want God to speak to you? Do you really desire that He would reveal His assignments to you? Well, okay, great. Now, if that's what we really want, we have to be ready to make some major adjustments in our life. And that requires us to be ready to make a turning point when we come to critical points. So what's next for us? Well, what's next is the fact that there are two major situations that we have to deal with when we're ready to follow Him in that way. Number one is that a crisis of relief requires faith in action. And then number two, major adjustments in your life are required to join Him. If you fail to make the adjustments, then you will not experience the God the way that He wants you to experience Him, and His will not be revealed to you as He has it in store for you. You see, faith leads to action, and action is obediently making the necessary adjustments in our life in order that we might follow the revealed will of God. You see, His revelation is our invitation to join Him in what He's doing and adjust our life to Him. You see, an adjustment to God's agenda allows for obedience. You can't stay where you are and join God at the same time. For example, Moses couldn't stay in Midian and speak to Pharaoh in Egypt at the same time. Peter and Andrew and James couldn't follow Jesus and keep their career as fishermen at the same time. Saul, later Apostle Paul, had to leave his Pharisees and his Pharisaical life and friends and associates in order to preach to the Gentiles. And others like Noah had to leave the place where he was in order to build the ark, and then they ultimately followed Jesus. And Amos and David and etc. Great men of God and women of God had to leave where they were in order to follow Jesus and to do the will of the Father. They gave up their careers, they gave up their families, their neighbors, their relatives, their goals, their dreams, and their desires in order to yield to God's will and plan for their lives. The question is, are you willing to give up everything to follow Him? Let me just review our memory verse for you. And Jesus said to those around Him, in the same way, if any of you does not give up everything, he cannot be my disciple. In reality, number 5, we found out that God's invitation for you to work with Him always leads to a crisis of belief that requires faith and action. Are you willing to take that step and exercise faith and the action that's necessary? Because if you want to be a follower of Jesus, you don't have a choice. You must leave where you are in order to follow Him. You might ask why? Well, because Isaiah 55:9 says that as high as the heavens are above the earth, so are His ways above your ways, and so are His thoughts above your thoughts. You see that when we compare the story of the rich young ruler who came to Jesus and asked Him, Master, what must I do to inherit eternal life? Jesus continued to share with him that he needed to go and sell everything that he had in order that he might follow Him. And this made him very sad because the Bible said he had much riches. He was not willing to give up everything to follow Him. So he did not experience the plan that God really had for his life. But when you look at Elijah in the 19th chapter of 1 Kings, we find that When Elijah came to Elisha and wrapped his coat around him, Elijah was willing to leave his family, to leave his friends, and to leave his oxen, his career, in order to be an attendant to the man of God. That kind of devotion is what was necessary, and that kind of adjustment was required in order to know him and experience him that way. Do you want to wholly be yielded and adjusted and obedient to God? I want you to answer that very carefully, because it has requirements that go with that. So today we want to sum up what we've gone over throughout this devotion this morning. Number one, when God speaks to you, he reveals what he is about to do. Then that's your invitation to make major adjustments in order that you might join him. Number two, the adjustments prepared for your life leads you to obedience. Number three, you can't stay where you are and go with God at the same time. And then number four, the potential is too great for what God can do through you or anyone who is a solitary individual who has a yielded life that's totally given over to him. There are great things that he can do for those who are willing to make the adjustments to follow him. I trust that you have had a blessed day in our devotion this morning or this evening or tonight, and that you would take the time and write down the truths that has been revealed to you. Make it in the form of a prayer, and then pray and ask God to cause that truth to become a part of your life. And then don't forget to communicate with us on our blogs, our email, our Facebook page, and let us know how God is working in your life as you are moving closer to experiencing God. Until the next time.